It's kind of funny because I was looking at his timeline, and his first marriage, if I'm not mistaken, if it was his first marriage, was during a time when Amber Heard wasn't even born. Like there's about a 23-year age gap between the two of them, if I understood that correctly. But she's quite a bit younger. She actually looked like quite the number when she was younger. I've not seen her before in films, if I'm honest. Like it's watching the trial, her face seems recognizable, but when you see the younger photographs of her, I can see how she caught some eyes, but I don't recall her in any films. Johnny Depp, on the other hand, you know his name. I mean, you've seen him in a bunch of big productions, and I'm sure he's got quite the. Do you know what he's worth?
That I don't know. Like someone stole millions of dollars from him. He wasn't paying attention to it like a lot of very wealthy people in the entertainment business
Yeah.
and sports superstars. They get ripped off a lot. And they put the wrong people in charge of their finances. They're not paying attention.
Mm.
Depp with drug and alcohol problems. So I don't know what he's worth now, but I
According
know.
to a Google result as of 4 days ago, it's estimated 150 million. And he's named one of the highest paid actors in recent years. His average salary seemed to be about 20 million a year, according to this.
Yeah, I heard the number 22.5 million for the Pirates films. That's what he was getting, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Which he lost, by the way, as a result of Heard's allegations, didn't he?
Right. It sounds, based on the testimony so far, that Disney doesn't want to rehire him.
Right.
And his testimony was the feelings mutual, which is sad.
Hmm.
He built his franchise, and I'm sure he got a piece of the merchandise if he was smart about it and everything else. So, right now he's not getting any offers as far as the testimony is telling us, and that's sad. What
Yeah.
else is he going to do?
Yeah. Well, deal with the trial right now, apparently.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So let's walk through the first point over here.
Okay. The key takeaways from this trial, at least initially. If there's one thing I want anybody watching this to think about, it's that this could happen to anyone, maybe with not with all the zeros behind their name, okay, and with all the money. But there's tons of Amber Heards walking around out there, hundreds
Oh,
of
yeah.
thousands. And the reason why this case is so important, and I think it's important to watch or know about, is because it's being televised, right? So if you came to work with me today, you wouldn't be able to see a case where there's this type of woman who took advantage of a guy who may not be as successful as Depp, but since my case wasn't televised, you wouldn't know about it. Here, they're opening the doors to the world, and everyone's fascinated. I want you to remember this: that this could happen to you if you're not careful. If you don't vet carefully or you marry the wrong person, you may not pay $1 million a month for 14 months, but you could be paying a lot of what you own or what you've worked for. And we want you to try to avoid that. So,
On a percentage basis, I'm just curious. So, on a percentage basis, during the time that you've practiced law, how often do you see like this level of crazy pop up?
often, often. I want to just share a quick anecdote with you. It's not unusual for me to run into opposing counsel who I'm really facing off against, but there's a lot of mutual respect. And I've had cases where opposing counsel, both men and women, will just come up to me with their palms outstretched towards the sky and say, he married her. He married her. All right.
Hmm.
We're not killing each other. There's mutual respect. We know the ability of the other one, but it's just that's all I have to say. He married her.
Hmm.
So I want to pass that along. Something guys might not ordinarily see. Don't be that guy who married her without carefully vetting, because so it happens often. You can't imagine, especially over the last couple of years with the delays in court with COVID. COVID, kind of shut down a lot of the family courts or slowed them down until they moved to Zoom hearings. So I've had cases where we, I might represent guy who gives a great offer right off the bat, and she just holds out for more. She wants her day in court. It winds through the courts, and 16 months later, she ends up getting less than what was offered originally. You
Hmm.
can't force somebody to settle if they're hell bent on burning the earth. So You want to be careful about that. But to answer your question directly, fairly often, fairly often.
All right. Yeah, let's hop into these points over here because, I mean, we're looking at what's essentially an apex predator, narcissistic, histrionic, borderline, violent. Um, yeah, I'll let you take it from there because, I mean, you've got some good points here on this roadmap.
All right. So if you watch the trial or you watch some of the clips from the trial, she, Depp had a target on his back and he had one-itis, right? So she was going to find a way to marry him. He asked her for a prenup, according to some of the things I've read, and a postnup, and she got violent on him, and she just really spun out of control. That's a huge red flag. So he's already rich, he's already famous, he's a handsome guy, but he's very vulnerable. Why? Because he doesn't have clear boundaries. And she was able to just run away with what she wanted to do. He had drug and alcohol problems that were well documented.
Yeah.
And when you lose touch with reality, that's bad. You know, if you're not careful, you could end up doing things that are against your better judgment. And when you're persuaded by beauty, it's not a good recipe. It's going to end up in a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
So it was what I would call the perfect storm for her. She had the guy who could really help her in her career. He's loaded. He's a multimillionaire, had an island, or maybe still even does have one, multiple penthouses in the same building. From all accounts, he's very generous too.
Mm-hmm.
He let her friends move into the penthouses, or it's just insane how generous he was. But she really took advantage of him, it seems. Like some of the testimony that's come out so far in the trial indicates all of this was pre-planned. You know, she recorded him and made herself a victim. And here he is now under a ton of stress. His career is in shambles. And it could have all been avoided if he just took some precautions and maybe listened to those close to him and didn't marry her.
Mm-hmm.
Once you marry somebody, you're bound to them under the law. She knew it. I think that the mother of his children, he wasn't married to. So
No.
you would think, wow, you know, he knows marriage isn't necessary to have a family life if that's what he wanted. But he fell off the tracks. And I think
he's been married a few times before, if I'm not mistaken. Depp and makeup artist Lorianne Allison were married from 83 to 85. He dated Jennifer Grey, Winona Ryder. He tattooed her name on his body, by the way. I'm sure he had that covered up since. Vanessa Paradis, Lily Rose Melody, that's a daughter. Yeah, but I mean, he knew of Heard for a good, I mean, 2014 was when they got engaged, for a good 5 years before they walked down the aisle. I mean, that should have been enough time for him to figure out what she was made of.
Yeah, but even if 5 years, if he was with, I don't think he was with Heard for 5 years, but
No, but he knew of her since 2009, but they were started dating in 2012 from what I got from the timeline. So, I mean, he dated her for at least 3 years.
yeah, and he was blue pilled. He wanted to marry her. He wanted to make her his wife. Now, on the tattoo that he had, it said Winona for life, and he had it shortened to Wino for life. So, come on, you know, that's not a good decision to start tattooing people's name on your body. But look, he could do whatever he wants. He's a very successful guy. My heart goes out to him at some level, you know, because he is just agonizing sitting in that courtroom. And I found his testimony credible from what I saw. I really did. He's
an actor. Do you think there was any acting in that? You know, just trying to be the devil's advocate? Both of them are.
Yeah. Her testimony so far, without a doubt, was scripted, acting, a lot of from her crying, but no tears. And, you know, I just really felt that his was more heartfelt and more honest. So I can't wait when the trial resumes. She'll be on cross-examination, and his lawyers will really be able to dig in to what she said to try to expose her for what she really is. So it'll be interesting. The sad part is it's costing millions of dollars in legal fees, and it could have all really been avoided if he just didn't marry her. he could still have been good to her. But once you bring her in under that state law umbrella of marriage, she felt entitled, as if she could just abuse him. And it seems like that's what she did.
They
And
never
it's
had any
continued.
kids together.
No, they never had any kids together. Good.
She did end up having a kid in 2020, apparently, through a surrogate.
Yeah. So she's a mother of a young child. I don't know if you have to go through any sort of psychological testing for that, but
No.
yeah, with enough money, I guess you can have a
I've
surrogate.
said this before, dumb people and crazy people are outbreeding smart people right now.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. They don't think things through. So we'll go back to Depp again. His mindset is, I'm wealthy. I get whatever I want. I get great drugs and alcohol. Uh, what's the worst that could happen? Some guys thrive on that chaos. It's the violence that I have a real problem with, where she's hitting them. And that should never be tolerated. Nobody should be able to hit another person like that. It's just so abusive.
Yeah,
And
and she actually has a history of violence, and there was a DV, domestic violence charge against her with that woman that she was dating, and up until 2009. They dropped it afterwards, but there was, the call made and the charge filed. Hey guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that short clip. If you did, consider supporting the creation of content by checking out my supplement line. Pinned in the top comment below of this video in the comments, there's a link to the unpluggedalpha.com/shop. When you click through, you'll be able to land over here, and the entire lineup is broken down by category that it performs best in: estrogen metabolism, fat burning, your foundational essentials for health, immune health, performance, and testosterone support. If you check out with coupon code ALPHA10, you'll get 10% off on your first order. There's also the option to use the subscribe and save model, where regular shipments will be sent over to you on a regular basis, and that gives you a little bit of a discount, and your supplement facts are always broken down over here. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome day. And again, check out that link. It's pinned in the top comment below in this video. Peace out.